My name is James Dobbins Jones. The extremely emotional face that you are witnessing right now is the face of an innocent boy who is surrounded by parents who are constantly conflicting with each other. Repetitive and pointless fighting between my parents continued up until I was 16 years old, when they finally got a divorce. But then came the most embarrassing thing a son or daughter could have been given after a divorce, a parent that goes through a midlife crisis. Anyhow, through my upbringing, I hardly understood on what created a healthy relationship, so I've decided to interview 3 long-term elderly couples, wanting to know how they met and fell in love, how they stayed in a committed relationship, and also an infamous issue that has profoundly increased in our modern times, known as divortium, also known as divorce.
Okay. Well, I first saw Spencer at a friend's place and thought he looked pretty good, but it wasn't until I got to know him later that I really appreciated him. My mother had a very soft heart, and she'd heard that he'd just lost his mother and he was living on his own, so she asked him out to our home, and I had 2 older brothers. She thought it'd be good companions for him. So I was very shy, and he'd come in one door and I'd walk out the other, and I had the idea if a boy was interested in a girl, he had to do the chasing. I wasn't going to chase him. And so that's what happened. And we did get to know each other very well.
Yeah. You don't just fall in love, do you? It just really creeps up on you over a period of time, I suppose.
I worked in a fruit shop in Falconbridge, where the fish and chip shop is now, you know, on Camassi.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I used to come in there. Then my mate wanted to drive her home one night, and I drove them and he was in the back seat. And then a couple of days later...
And we were looking at each other in the mirror.
Smiling, yeah. And I asked her out and she declined. Then another night...
Only because I didn't think my father would approve.
Then another night when I was half drunk, she jumped me at the railway station and said, "Hey, you still going to take me out?" And I said, "Yeah, okay." So away we went. And here we are. And you don't just, it's not love at first sight, it takes time.
Just take time. You kind of like each other.
Grow to each other.
But love takes a bit longer. Yeah.
It wasn't a 5-minute thing, no.
No.
Oh, we were playing tennis, weren't we, Harry? And you asked me out, and then we sort of went from there. You know, it's sort of, I was 18 and he took me to the pictures at Glenbrook. I don't think he'd done that very often because we sat in the front row and I couldn't see a thing.
Yeah, that was terrible, wasn't it? Yeah. Well, that was a bit of a flop. It's a wonder he didn't buzz me off after that one. By being very frank and open to one another, and seeking the Lord's guidance in all that we do, and not going to letting a day go by without we straighten things out.
And another point I always feel is important for young couples and for all couples to work on their togetherness. And we endeavoured to work together as a team and pull together so that if the kids wanted something, they'd come and ask Mum, and Mum would say, "Go and ask Dad," and Dad would say, "Go and ask your Mum." But they couldn't set us one against the other like sometimes you see children doing. We were determined that, well, if one said something, we'd stick by them, and we worked together.
Well, you make a commitment when you get married. You know, like, it's not easy. You know, we came from different backgrounds and we had different things we wanted out of life, so you've got to compromise. It's compromise, isn't it? You know what I mean? Giving and taking. That's Harry's got into the business of taking.
I would.
With your relationship and how you kept it committed, was it like the strategies that you guys did, like trust or?
No, we argued all the time. We still argue. Friend came in the other day and he said, "Are you still at it?"
I got Irish. She couldn't ever stop, could you, darling?
There's times
you got to
when
work
you
at it all the time.
literally kill each other.
Yeah.
Really? Someone once told me that if you feel that way, then you sit down and you write 2 lists. And you write all the good things and all the bad things about your husband or wife. But write the good list first, and usually you never get to the second list. And if you are really angry with each other, it's best to just find some space.
I got space up the back.
And have a think. Yeah, he's got that. I won't tell you exactly what we call it on film, but it's the Selfish Somebodies Club up the back there.
Well, I'm very sad when I hear of a marriage breakup because everybody has heartache. If there are children, they're very hurt and their loyalties are divided. So there's just lots of hurts all round, and it hurts deeply. And so it's sad. It happens more now than it used to. 40 years ago there were still divorces and breakups, but it was sort of considered...
Not the end thing, was it?
No, it was considered I suppose you'd say nearly a disgrace that it should happen, because if a couple got married, they should be committed to each other, and that you've got to determine in your own soul and heart that you're going to love one another. Even through all your problems, up and downs, it's got to be a decision that you make. And there might be times when you think, oh, but you've got to, if you're determined to love one another, you find a way round it all.
Oh, no marriages last today. They do not. People don't put the hard work in. They just don't.
Why is that, do you think?
Well, I think it's too easy to get out of a marriage today. There's too many, okay, we'll get married, we'll have the huge wedding. Harry and I, if you're going to get married, you want to get married, you either want to party or you want to get married.
There is an old saying, I don't know if you've heard it, but that when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Well, in our time, that meant when things got tough, you got in and you just fought it and you beat it and...
Went for it.
What it means today seems to be when the going gets tough, they get going. Either way, either the wife gets going
I think a
or
lot
the
of
husband
people
gets
think
going.
that if they split, that'll solve all their problems. And it doesn't. They just go into another relationship. I've had a sister that with 3 marriages still didn't find happiness. They go out, have a child, then they get married these days. Or live together first, have a child, then get married.
And it seems to be that they think about themselves more than even their child. Even their child isn't important enough to stay committed, which I will never understand. Even their child is not enough to keep them committed for that little person's sake.
When it comes to being in a committed relationship, there's no denying times have changed. People are getting married later in life, some not at all. While Generation X's separation and divorce rates are increasing, we can still figure out ways on how to survive a relationship. From the lessons we can learn from these couples about sticking together. No one will admit that holding a relationship is easy, but these couples share their experiences about what young couples can anticipate with or without marriage, and how they can grow hold together.
Telephone rings and you're